Hey guys, welcome to the Final Whistle podcast. I am your host, Luca Wilson. Today we will be talking my version 1 mock draft as well as the Super Bowl. Without further ado, let's get into it. Now, with the first pick, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock, and they threw some smoke screen out, I think, with them saying that they're going to draft someone generational. For me, I have them taking quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami. He grades out as my best quarterback when I have done the film watching on him and all the other QBs in this class. He has by far the highest ceiling. He's a great improviser, has the clutch gene, which you have seen so many times this season of Miami being down a lot, and then you get the ESPN alert that Miami has won the game. He has a little bit of a weakness to sail a pass over the middle of the field, a little inconsistent in the intermediate range, but he has elite arm strength, which will translate very well on the next level. Next, the Cleveland Browns with Myles Garrett requesting a trade, and you probably not getting him back. I have y'all taking Abdul Carter, edge out of Penn State, which I think he has the potential to be the best player in the draft. He has probably maybe the best first step in the class. He has a good pass rush mix. He has a great speed around the edge, not consistent flexibility when he actually does win and bends the edge. And he's not great at block destruction yet in the run game. But I think with Cleveland, he will be able to work on those flaws a little bit more and work on the strengths as well and become maybe the best player in this draft class. Next, the New York Football Giants. They need a quarterback and they want a quarterback, and a quarterback wants to go to them. I have them taking Shedeur Sanders out of Colorado. He has a low ceiling but a very high floor. He's very accurate, but some weaknesses is he holds the ball too long, and no trait really jumps off the table at you when you watch the tape. But he does not put the ball in danger, and he can throw in tight windows, which makes him a very intriguing option for the Giants to pair with Malik Neighbors. Next, New England Patriots. I think that they just want talent and they need talent, and they pick the best player available, Travis Hunter, the Heisman. And the question is he going to play receiver or DB in the next level? And I think that's a very great problem to have when you are talking a prospect. You don't know which side of the ball you want him to play at because he is so special at both places. I would like to see him play DB and then just an occasional receiver. But I think either way that he goes, I think that it will be a great fit in New England with this new era under Mike Vrabel. Now the Jaguars, I was in a toss-up with this pick between two Michigan dudes. I think both of the Michigan guys are the best person available right now, but I have them taking Will Johnson from Michigan. No real weakness jumps off at me when you watch the tape. He doesn't press a lot, but he doesn't need to. He has great anticipation, great at sniffing out when a receiver is about to break on his route, never gets beat on double moves. He has a little bit of an issue tackling right now, but when you draft a corner top five, you want him to be able to cover. You don't really care about the tackling, it will come. Next, the Raiders. I think they do need a quarterback, but there's no quarterback worthy of a top 10 selection other than Shedeur and Cam Ward. So I think that they hold off on QB, maybe sign Sam Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, or even Russell Wilson with the Pete Carroll connection. I have them drafting Ted McMillan out of Arizona. He's a strong contested catch guy with great size and ball tracking ability, but concerns exist about his top end speed. He's not a burner, but and a little bit of his route running consistency. But I mean, this dude is a beast. But I think will end up being the best receiver in the draft. Depends on what Travis Hunter does. But like I said, if Travis Hunter does end up playing DB, then Ted McMillan will for sure be the best receiver in this draft class. Next, the Jets get who I think is a top five player when it's all said and done with these careers. Mason Graham out of Michigan has a great ball get off and a first step. Bull rush is by far his best move. Hasn't got too many other moves in the bag, but you don't really need that from an interior defensive lineman. He sets the line of scrimmage very well, has a little bit of a shorter arms, but again, you can't have the perfect prospect. Sometimes he gets off balance a little bit when he is run defending, can get hit out of the gaps a little bit too much for your liking. But I think Mason Graham with the Jets is a great fit here, and I think that they will rock this pick in New York. Next, my Carolina Panthers. Once I saw that Abdul Carter probably will not be able to get to 8 with Carolina, I fell in love with this prospect right away, looking for the next Carolina Panther. And I think Jalen Walker, linebacker, edge, hybrid out of Georgia, is the pick here for Carolina. Despite having the ideal length to play edge, he can play both, sort of like Frankie Louvu did with Carolina 2 years ago. He consistently showed the ability to be able to shed blocks and get to the pass rusher. I mean, he has a great first step, and I think that he will be a great addition to be able to get to the quarterback and stop the run for, I think, maybe the worst run defense in the league last year with Carolina. And I think that this will be a big step forward in the Bryce Young, Dave Canales era. Next, the New Orleans Saints at 9. I think their biggest need right now is pass rusher. And lucky for them, there is a great pass rusher on the board. Mykel Williams out of Georgia, a athletic D end with elite athleticism and a versatile skill set. I think injuries kind of derailed his season a little bit, but also he's not as consistent as you would like him to be. He kind of gets washed out in some games. He needs to refine his pass rush moves a little bit, but he has a high motor, strong hands, and I think that he is the perfect edge here for New Orleans, who just hired Kellen Moore. Next pick with Chicago. You know what you need. You got to stop getting Caleb Williams hit so much. And I think that they take the best O-lineman available and probably the best O-lineman in the draft, Will Campbell out of LSU. He's probably going to move into interior offensive line because he does have short arms to be a tackle. And he's not too great at dealing with the athletic DNs when he was at LSU. He has great aggression. He likes to overcommit a little too much on double teams in the pass game, which allows a late rusher to come free. That happened more with Garrett Nussmeier than it did with Jaden Daniels. And he likes to play with a high pad level a little bit. But I think that with his aggression and his raw talent, that it will translate well for Caleb Williams. And they will probably look to add another offensive lineman in free agency or in the draft. Next, the 49ers. I think you have to start looking life beyond Trent Williams. And I think this guy has the most upside in the draft at offensive line. You take Kelvin Banks out of Texas. He is very raw. I think he needs a little more time to refine his skills and sorts. But I think with Trent Williams as his mentor, he will be the perfect fit in San Francisco. He has great footwork, elite athleticism, and doesn't play too far from his body. But he often holds when he gets beat. It showed a lot at Texas. One of his biggest flaws, probably one of his only flaws, but also he's not very patient in the run game. He tries to attack too much sometimes, and it gets him beat on just some looks from other defenses. But he has a great leg drive and great counter blocks on pass rush moves. He doesn't just stop after the first move. If they hit him with a counter move, he counters right back and has a great base. Next, Dallas Cowboys. I think every fan of the Cowboys wants this pick to happen. They haven't had an RB1 since Zeke in like 2018. I think they end up taking Ashton Jeanty from Boise State. He is a very explosive runner with a versatile skill set. He can catch it. He can run it. Some people say he's one of the best receiving back prospects in a while. He has great vision. I mean, you saw it at Boise State. You don't run for that many yards if you don't have great vision and a strong lower body. The top end speed is the only thing that's a little bit of an issue, and his height and size. Just will he be able to be a true workhorse in the NFL? You'll have to see what he measures up at the combine. Is he 5'9"? Is he 5'10"? You'll just have to see. Next, the Dolphins. They also have a O-line problem. Tua gets hit too much. I think he might be one concussion away from really having to medically retire. And this is why I have them getting interior offensive lineman Tyler Booker out of Alabama. He's an elite size, 6'5", 335. I mean, he has an ideal build for an interior offensive lineman. He's powerful in the run game, and you know Mike McDaniel loves to run the ball with Achane and Raheem Mostert. 2 years ago, that run game was unstoppable. He has a high football IQ, able to recognize stunts and blitzes very quickly. He has a consistent pad level, never plays too high, and just not making it easy to defenders to get under him. I think the lateral quickness may struggle a little bit with the pulling guards of this offense for Miami, but I think that he will still be a great fit for the Miami Dolphins here. Next, pick 14 for the Indianapolis Colts, my family's team, Tyler Warren out of Penn State. I've been telling him all year that I think Tyler Warren is the next big thing at tight end, and he has a great size and frame, 6'6", about 250, a great build for a tight end. He's a great red zone threat for Anthony Richardson. You need a nice safety valve if you are a young quarterback who hasn't had a great start to his NFL career with some completion percentage issues. He has a little bit of a top end speed issue and not too refined at his route running yet, but I think he's very good in the run game, and he has a very versatile skill set, and you can send him on all types of routes. He's not going to break you on a double move like Travis Kelce, but he is going to be open a lot of the time. Next, here at 15, I have a Senior Bowl standout for the Atlanta Falcons. You get Mike Green out of Marshall. He led the FBS in the 2024 season with 17 sacks, showcasing his ability to consistently get after the quarterback. He's sitting at 6'4", 248, and some scouts think he's going to run between a 4.57 and a 4.6, which is very fast for the DN position at that height and at that weight. His cons are a little bit of his run defense is not all the way there, needs to be refined a little bit. And at 248, he may need to bulk up against larger NFL offensive linemen. Like I've said, no O-lineman yet has been taken that's not even 330 pounds. That's almost an 100-pound advantage on Mike Green. He's definitely going to need to bulk up for Atlanta for the future. Next, the Cardinals. They just hired the Ohio State offensive line coach. I think the O-line is a big problem, and I have them taking Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. He is very, very athletic. He's 6'5", 310, another 310-pounder. He has strong hands, and I think that his upside and potential is very, very, very good. He had a little bit of an injury problem this year at Ohio State, which makes him fall this far to Arizona, but I think Arizona will be very, very happy with Josh Simmons falling to them here. Next, the Cincinnati Bengals. Everybody knows what their issue is. It's defense. And I think that they helped Trey Hendrickson out here with getting James Pierce from Tennessee, an elite athletic D-end who is at least 6'5". He's not very heavy. He's definitely going to have to gain some weight in the pros. Who knows how big he really even is. He has a great, great pass rushing set of moves. He has the quickest first step, I think, out of all the edges in this class. He definitely needs to add a little bit of strength and a little bit of muscle, and that comes with his run defense being a little poor, but I think he will definitely be able to fix that and help Cincinnati in this new era with their new DC, Al Golden from Notre Dame. Seattle. I know their GM has talked about how offensive guard is the biggest overrated position and overpaid position in the NFL, but I think they take Amon Mimbu out of Mizzou. He played tackle at Mizzou, but I think he will move in to interior offensive line for Seattle. He has the body control and the nasty demeanor. I think that with he's going to be a tall guard, but I just don't think that he has it to be the tackle. And I think that sometimes he likes to overrun his target, but I think this will be a great piece for Geno Smith and that offense, who already has a star-studded receiving core to keep adding and hopefully make a playoff push next year. Next, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This might be my favorite fit other than Jalen Walker to the Carolina Panthers is Jahad Campbell out of Alabama. an inside linebacker who is very athletic and a very reliable tackler. One of his weaknesses is that he can be a little weak in the coverage. He can have great plays one snap and then a really busted coverage, but I think that he might even jump higher than this. But I think for the most part, this will be my mock is Jahad Campbell to Tampa Bay with possibly Levante David leaving at the end of this season. They're going to need a new linebacker for the future. Next, I think that the Broncos take just the best player available. I think is a blue chip prospect, and he's here at the later rounds in the draft or the later picks in the first round. You take Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. He is a great run defender. Shows a little bit of inconsistency in the zone coverage, but he has rare athleticism that will translate to the next level. And pairing him with PS2 will be a dangerous secondary for years to come to help Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and that offense continue to develop and become maybe even the Chiefs killer for the years to come. Next, the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think you need a dynamic player on that offense. You don't know who your quarterback is going to be in the near future. It's probably not going to be Russell Wilson. It could be Justin Fields, but we'll just have to see. I have them taking Luther Burden out of Missouri. He is a playmaker, a dynamic player who, if you get the ball in his hands, he will make something happen. He has a great run after catch, big plays because of his speed and his acceleration. He high points the ball well, great ball skills. And I think he might be one of the fastest receivers in this draft. He's able to stack corners on go routes and separate vertically. And I mean, the contact balance is something that is very rare. He loves to fight for yards, but also protect himself over the middle. Next, the Chargers. I have them selecting a Michigan man, one Michigan man to another. I think Jim Harbaugh selects Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan, 6'5", around 245, strong hands and a great catch radius. He is very versatile for this offense. You can line him up in the slot or at H-back or even in line. I mean, his blocking could probably get better, but he shows the effort and the technique as a blocker, which makes him a very well-rounded tight end. And I think this is the tight end of the future for the Los Angeles Chargers, who have a history of getting very good tight ends. Next, I think the Packers, Josh Jacobs said we need a true wide receiver one. So I don't think they're going to look for one here in the draft. I think they're going to maybe go sign a Stephon Diggs or a really bona fide wide receiver one. I have them taking Jahdae Barron, defensive back out of the University of Texas. He has great instincts and football IQ. His ball skills are up there with the best. I mean, and he's not afraid to step up in run support and make a tackle. The size is a little bit of a concern with him being 5'11". You see some other corners in this draft being 6'2", 6'3". And I think that there is some consistency in coverage issues while he also lacks the high-end speed, which if you put him on a burner, he might get toasted. But pairing him with a decreasing Jaire Alexander, but being able to learn from Jaire Alexander, who was one of the best cornerbacks in the league and of this decade, I think will be a great pick for the Green Bay Packers. Next, the Vikings. I think this is a steal with another pick coming in the draft. Both of these dudes, I think, are steals at the spots that they're getting them. Walter Nolan, defensive lineman out of Ole Miss. I think you could see him going even higher in the draft, maybe even to the Cardinals if they don't think lineman is an issue. He's 6'4", about 325. He has an NFL-ready frame from day one, and he is a great run stuffer. The only problem is he probably needs to refine his pass rush moves a little bit and his motor consistency. It looks like on tape he's not giving 100% every rep, which could come to bite him in the NFL. Next, Houston Texans. Tank Dell being out for maybe even 2 seasons, and Stephon Diggs probably leaving in free agency. I think you need to get a receiver, but I think you get a receiver that C.J. Stroud is very comfortable with. You get Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State. He is an elite route runner, which was on show every single game this season. He has a good burst off the line with strong hands. but the only con is he is 6 foot. He is a solid weight. He is about 200 pounds, but I think some physical, taller corners will be able to outmuscle him. But I think that he will be a great receiver for years to come when you pair him with his college quarterback, who he's so comfortable with, in C.J. Stroud. Next, the Rams. I know I just talked about Jahdae Barron being 5'11", and that being a concern, and this is why. The Rams take cornerback Shavon Revel out of Eastern Carolina. He is 6'3", 193, very aggressive near the line of scrimmage, loves to aggravate receivers. The only weakness, he has other weaknesses, but the big weakness is that he tore his ACL this season, which probably is the reason he even dropped this far in the draft, is because of the torn ACL questions. He displayed fluid hips all before that torn ACL, and he has a great change of direction speeds, which will be let him cover the shiftiest receivers in the league. Next, like I was talking about, the Ravens get another steal who probably won't be here after Combine. He probably won't be this late in my mock draft. You have Shamar Stewart, a big Senior Bowl standout. Him and Mike Green got to leave the Senior Bowl early because they played so good in practice. They didn't see the need for the game. He is very powerful and explosive. He showed that at A&M and obviously at the Senior Bowl. 6'5", probably going to weigh in about 300. Stewart has the ideal frame to disrupt force on the defensive line and be a great addition for this Baltimore defense as they try to get over the humps of Buffalo and Kansas City. Next, the Detroit Lions. A lot of injury concerns on the defense this year, and I have them staying in state with Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Both your starting defensive tackles get hurt this year, so why not spend a first-round pick on another great defensive tackle? He is 6'4", 330, has the strength and power to really clog the holes, and he has a great run-stopping ability, known for clogging running lanes and being a force in the run game. Only cons is he's a little stiff in the hips. Lateral quickness isn't always there, but he does not have a pass rush bag yet. But for a run-stopping defensive tackle, that's all you're asking for. You don't necessarily need him to have the full pass rush bag with him next to Alan McNeil. Next, the Commanders, someone who had a little bit of a disappointing 2024 season, Nick Scorton out of A&M. There were big hopes for him, even mocks at the beginning of the season saying he would probably go top 10. He had a little bit of an inconsistent season for A&M this year, and that's why I think he falls to the Commanders, but I think that he will still be a great piece for Dan Quinn to keep building this defense while he watches Jaden Daniels progress and just become a force in the NFC for years to come. Next, Buffalo Bills. You know what you need. You need a receiver, and I think they take my favorite receiver in this class, Matthew Golden, out of the University of Texas. He has solid speed and acceleration. He can explode past defenders and create separation very, very well. You saw this at Houston as well as at Texas when he transferred. His route running is very strong, and he has a great bag of routes that he can run. With him being able to adjust to throws away from his frame as well, he has great hands and can make the routine catches as well as the difficult grabs. His clutch gene, you saw this all college football playoffs. The best receiver for UT this college football playoffs was Matthew Golden, and it was not close. So he showed that he can do it in big games, and the Bills have been in big games. So I think that this is a great fit. The injury history has been a little iffy, and the run blocking could probably be better, but the Bills are going to be able to use this guy with Keon Coleman and Khalil Shakir and probably be the odds-on favorite to get it out of the AFC next year. Next, you have the Super Bowl losers, who we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. The Chiefs, with Trey Smith probably gone, he's probably going to demand more in the market than he'll take with the Chiefs. I have them taking Gray Zabel, offensive lineman, out of North Dakota State. North Dakota State loves producing these Senior Bowl breakouts who they're not on the radar yet, but once they get to the Senior Bowl, they're like, wow, that North Dakota State offensive lineman is going to be a stud, and I think he is nothing short of that. Gray Zabel to the Kansas City Chiefs. And next, the Philadelphia Eagles. You saw what that D-line did to Patrick Mahomes during the Super Bowl, and I think that they will draft another great pass rusher with Jack Sawyer out of Ohio State. As a Michigan fan, you saw what he did in coverage and on the D-line, playing for all 4 years with this Ohio State team. Never could beat Michigan, but definitely caused a little bit of havoc when he was on the field. His pass rushing ability with the combination of his explosive first step and the power that he creates off the edge. You saw it on Quinn Ewers when he got the strip sack. He is a problem in the pass rushing game. He has a high motor. You saw it even after the game against Michigan with the on-field antics. He has a high motor. He doesn't know how to stop. He plays with relentless effort, and he also is very versatile. You could see him playing a traditional 4-3 D end or a 3-4 outside linebacker, but there is a con. The lack of elite bend around the corner could hinder him a little bit in the pass rushing game, but I think he would be a great fit for the Philadelphia Eagles. Next, we are going to be breaking down the Super Bowl and my main thoughts about the Super Bowl. And my biggest thought is Jalen Hurts, 221 passing yards, 72 rushing touchdowns, 3 total touchdowns, a little bit of an errant interception. He threw it a little short, but he made the big plays when he needed to, and I think that's all that matters. He won that game for them. The deep ball to Devonta Smith, the short routes to A.J. Brown, to Saquon, the dump-offs, and being able to run. Everybody has known him as a runner, and he still did it very efficiently in this game. I think that Devonta Smith, 4 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown. He came to play, and he won a Heisman, a national championship, and a Super Bowl. One of 4 people, I'm pretty sure, I saw that stat correctly, to win all 3 of those. And just a stud, really came out and balled out. A.J. Brown had a clutch touchdown to just open the floodgates, wide open on a drag route, and just took it for 6. He was a little argumentative with Nick Sirianni while they were already up a lot. You wonder what that was about, but he did his thing. Saquon got boxed in the run game, 25 carries for 57 yards, but he also had 6 catches for 40 yards. So it's a little bit better game, 97 total yards when you look at the whole aspect of the game. But the 25 for 57, that's one of the bright spots, maybe the only bright spot for the Kansas City Chiefs on the game. But this Philadelphia Eagles, you have Josh Sweat, Milton Williams, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter getting after the quarterback. Josh Sweat, 2.5 sacks. Milton Williams had 2 sacks. Jordan Davis had a sack. I mean, the boys were rolling. Jalen Carter just imposes his will on whoever he wants, and I think that even led to this man's pick 6, Cooper DeJean, on his 22nd birthday. His first career INT goes for 6 in the Super Bowl on his birthday. I mean, what an inspirational story for Cooper DeJean. Zach Bond, a DPOY finalist, also getting a pick. They were getting after Mahomes, and Mahomes had nothing he could do was right in the game. Mahomes had 257 passing, 3 touchdowns, 2 INTs, and a fumble loss. The stats are a little inflated because I feel like Philly was just playing prevent and just seeing what could happen. I mean, he made some great throws to Xavier Worthy. Xavier Worthy had 8 catches for 157 and 2 touchdowns, most receiving yards by a rookie in the Super Bowl. So you got to give it up for Xavier Worthy. But the 2 picks that Mahomes threw were bad, both in Eagles territory. And then the strip sack by Milton Williams, the game was pretty much already over, just added insult to injury for Mahomes' iffy game. And then Travis Kelce, 4 catches for 39 yards, had 0 catches in the first half. So you got to wonder what was going on with Travis Kelce. He had 1 drop that they put on the stat sheet, but Mahomes basically threw it at the dude's ankles, so you can't even blame him for that. But the Eagles had a great game plan, and you got to give a round of applause for Vic Fangio, who I think is the real MVP of this game, not blitzing a single time during the game, just playing zone, letting the D-line get to Mahomes, and it worked effectively and efficiently, and they got a Super Bowl trophy out of it. Thank you guys for tuning in to the first episode of the podcast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and share with others, and tell me what you want me to post next week. See ya.